Okay, I believe we are live now. Let's just double check. Excuse me, everybody. Neat, looking good there. One more thing. Cool beans, looking good there as well. Welcome, Tony. Good to see you. And welcome to anybody, and thank you so much to anybody who was there for our premiere. Appreciate it as always. A little high already, to be honest. Working on a review, spoiler, and feeling pretty high. Carpe Byatt, welcome back, Carpe. So glad you could join us again, man. Welcome. Says Carpe says, I enjoyed the review. I liked how you went live right after the premiere. Well, thanks, man. I've been trying to do that more and more recently. Actually, I think every review we've done, I'm pretty sure this is correct. Every review we've done so far this season, we'll call it, this crop of reviews has been accompanied by a live stream immediately after, sort of trying to set that as a maybe some kind of expectation. But always happy to have anybody either there in the premieres or, of course, here later in live stream, hanging out in chat. Well, let's go ahead and get our first bag started for Tony and Carpe and anybody else who was hanging out with us in the premiere. 13 and Charlie, I think, chatting. No problem, Tony. It's a pretty unexciting review, to be honest. Not our favorite product we've checked out. Some gummies. Gave him a mixed review. And then we threw a little Joe Hill cherry on top. Some horror writing, literature, authors. Stephen King's son. I read my first Joe Hill novel, like in 2014, I think was the year I read it, maybe. I read the whole thing and really quite liked it. It was Heart Shaped Box was the first novel of his I read, and I just found it on somebody recommended to me in a horror literature context. I always like horror lit and was always looking for new authors. And just for some context, Joe Hill was the cherry on top of the premiere we did. And it was because I saw the movie The Black Phone right before I did the review, or during the review, rather. And that is from a short story of his. The movie's okay. His novels tend to be a little bit better. But I read his first whole novel, not the first one he published, but the first one I read of his, again called Heart Shaped Box, about a bad dude and a guitar, I think, and really quite liked it, and didn't realize until after I had finished it and was looking to purchase another of his books that he was Stephen King's son. Good on you, Owen Hill, for dropping the King last name and striking it out on your own. I think that's pretty neat, and it's a proud King / Hill tradition. Let's talk, I guess, a little Stephen King at this moment. So Joe Hill is again son of Stephen King. Joe Hill is a really excellent horror fiction writer in his own regard. Like, seriously, not just as a fixture, or not just as a product of the being the one of the most successful novelists of all time at this point. Child, he's good. He tells spinning a good yarn. And he just doesn't use the last name King because he doesn't want anybody, thinking that that's why you should purchase his work. Not because he has any sour relationship. I think it's really cool. Super, super cool. 13, welcome 13. It's good to see you, man. And Carpe Diet, to answer your question real quick before we go into a fun Stephen King fact, says Carpe Diet says, I never asked you, bro, but do you feel like the THC vapor in the bag gets you more baked than normal? I'm not sure if I would say it gets me more baked than normal, and it's all a function of, well, do I think that the weed that I put in the volcano gets me as wasted as the same amount of wasted? That's a terrible adjective. As high as if I had just used it in, say, a water pipe, a bong, or a pipe of any kind. And the answer to that is, I think so, but I'm not sure. And I would actually probably, my assumption would probably be that you would actually get ever so slightly higher, meaning the amount of THC in you absorb would be higher from using a combustion based, something with fire, like a water pipe or a pipe, than if you had used the volcano, because the volcano actually leaves a little bit of THC remaining, or THCA remaining in the plant, even after you put it in the thing a couple of times, which is nice because then you can use it as, fodder for can of butter or whatever. But I like it better for so many other reasons. The thing is, it's also close. If it were way less, like if you got significantly less, I don't know, what's a good way, high for your buck using a volcano, I would not use it. So I think it's actually very, very close. But the convenience factor, not having to clean as much, the aforementioned, like being able to keep your remains and use it for other products, those are all the reasons I use it. If I were doing like water pipes here, I was making bongs, I'd have to clean them all the time or have a bunch set up to begin with. Volcano, just nice and easy. You can talk with it. I'm a gesticulator, as you guys know. Hey, buddy. Hi, bud. My dog is here. Let me give him all a treat. I'll be right back. And then I promise, I'll get back to those Stephen King thoughts. Into this bag. All right. Well, thank you, Tony. Bag number one done. Stephen King. Love him. We've talked about him here before. I as a child, I read him all the time. Fascinated by as a dude. I don't know how many people realize what a cool thing he did, or experimental thing he did, maybe at the zenith of his career. I don't actually know what you would consider the height of somebody like Stephen King's career. Maybe they're always at the height. Like they've never not been at the peak of their fame and influence. It actually seems like there's a very good argument with him. But maybe at the time where his books were selling the best, like when his books would come out and they would have the most, they would almost take the cultural zeitgeist. Everybody would talk about them. So like early 80s time period. He's like, Stephen King, even at that time already, very clear he's going to be one of the best-selling authors, contemporary authors at that point for sure, if not in history. And the guy's like, you know what? One, I'm just such a prodigious producer of work. I've just produced so many volumes of Stephen King greatness, and terribleness, that, and also, I already have enough money. I'm rich. I'm already unbelievably rich. Let's do a thought experiment. I am so curious to know what would happen if I tried again, basically. So Stephen King at the, again, peak of his literary fame, or like, sales explosiveness, comes up with an alter ego, a dude by the name of Richard Bachman, and writes several novels by him, including one of his best of all time, one called The Long Walk. Something that I can't believe has never been adapted into any other property. And big other major cultural things like The Running Man was written as Richard Bachman, not as Stephen King. The Running Man is the almost totally unrelated Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, is nominally based off a Richard Bachman novel, Richard Bachman being Stephen King. Let's take a very brief detour one more time down the world of weird Stephen Kingness. So we're talking about his alter ego, Richard Bachman, where he's just like, I write a lot. I'm so curious if I can do this again, if people will want to read my stuff, if I'm not Stephen King. Let's make him a pen name and release some shit under it named Richard Bachman. One of those is The Running Man, a very famous cheesy 80s movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger plays like a framed up military pilot who did something bad or something. I can't remember all the details. And he's going to prison for the rest of his life, or he can compete on a reality show. And this is in the 80s, before the concept of reality shows being a thing. Compete in this show where he can attempt to survive this game where people are out to kill him. And if he survives it, he wins both his freedom and his life. He's no longer in prison or on death row or whatever they were going to do to him. That's the premise of the movie. The actual book, and Lisa Mueller, welcome back, Lisa. I think you've been with us before, Lisa. Lisa asks, are fake carts still huge in Cali? They are definitely less than they were in the height of the popcorn lung epidemic, but they certainly still exist. I don't think they are as dangerous as they once were because people are, know what those things were that were giving people popcorn lung, and there are somewhat easy ways to prevent that from happening that aren't too expensive. Nobody wants to go to prison for killing anybody. So I don't know how bad it is. To be honest, I haven't heard any numbers, but I assume that they are still a problem, but they are less of a problem in terms of quantity and actual public health risk. But that is all speculation on my part, to be honest. Okay, let's go get this second bag going, and let's get ourselves our Baghdadi keys, including Lisa for her excellent question. And Joshua, welcome back. Joshua says, have you tried Click Select pods? They are really good. Select made a pod with no draw pipe, and the pod is curved to keep the coil at the bottom. That is interesting. Josh, I think I saw your comment on one of my videos, and I did not comment back yet. I have seen them. I have not reviewed them yet, but they are something I am intrigued by because Select has a huge market share. Loath to buy another battery, but that's what we're here for, is to buy. I mean, I have probably multiple pounds of batteries at this point, proprietary batteries. Not sure what to do with them. But I would like to try them because I have heard other people recommend them as well. And I appreciate the suggestion, Joshua. THC Temple, it's going great. And BVD, thanks so much for hanging out with us again, BVD. How are you? And how's the studying going? Or probably done by now. Not sure. Summer school. Anyways, let's get this second bag going for all of our new folks, Lisa, Josh, THC, and BVD. On the set. I also forgot to mention right at the top, guys, that it is unfortunately going to be a slightly shorter stream than normal. I do have to do something later this afternoon, and unfortunately it won't be as long as we've been going. but I'll try to keep you up to date. Okay, really quick. Lost Lori Elizabeth Wade. Well, hello, Lori Elizabeth Wade. Thanks for joining us. All right. I keep promising to talk about the novel The Running Man, written by Richard Bachman, a.k.a. Stephen King. Now, I have not read it since I was 11, the book, so forgive me if some of the details are fuzzy, but it is a thing that sticks with you, even being pre-9/11. Now, that seems like a non sequitur, but you'll understand in just a second. So, Running Man, the book, does not involve a, wrongly convicted muscle man. It involves what a shockingly relevant book this is today. It involves a destitute, very poor man who I think is going to become a new father soon. Lives in extreme poverty with his wife. And there is a game show played on what is basically NBC where you can... the game is called The Running Man. You sign up for it, and you have to survive for 1 month in the real world. I believe that's, again, some of the details are going to be fuzzy, but it's basically you have to survive for a month in the real world. And everybody else who is in the country is basically a bounty hunter for you. They get a big bounty if they kill you. If you survive for the 1 month, I believe you get like $1 billion or something like that. And there's some other stipulations, like you have to mail a physical address, proof of where you were every day, so people will know. You can't just hide in a shack in the woods, stuff like that. So it's a big game show where you sell your own life in the attempts to let people murder you for the possibility of getting $1 billion. Now, that all sounds in bounds, and even I've heard, things borrow that plot recently. It's a pretty, I'm not sure if it's the progenitor of that plot, but it seems like it. How does the novel end? Well, it ends with our hero protagonist. These actions are not portrayed as villainous. It ends with him hijacking a plane and flying that hijacked plane straight into a big giant tower in New York City, basically where the fake NBC is headquartered, with the goal of demolishing the tower, and said the tower is also a symbol for the country's capitalistic, avaricistic greed, and his goal is to destroy the tower and bring down the country as a result. That is The Running Man. That is a book that came out in the 1980s, very early 80s, I think, written by Stephen King. Turned into a movie that has nothing to do with it. You can see why they don't talk about it very often. Richard Bachman also wrote a book. He wrote several other books under that time period. One that Stephen King himself is the only thing he's ever written that he has asked to be turned out of print, to be removed from print. And it's been removed from print from a long time. It's very hard. I'm sure you can find, of course, reference to it on Wikipedia, but you don't. He wrote a book called Rage as Richard Bachman, which is about a school shooter. About a put upon kid, a King Jeremy type. He also wrote one of the most banned books by they always have these dumb metrics by if a book is banned by does a library attempt to ban it? Did a Congress try, or did a local government try to ban this in the schools? He also wrote one of those, as Richard Bachman, called Road Work, which is about a man who worked for, I don't know, some industry, like the city for years and years and years, gets laid off, and then the city decides to eminent domain his house and build a highway over it, and he decides to kill a lot of people who are responsible for that decision. Also, you can see why it doesn't exist so much. Lastly, though, he wrote truly one of his greatest books, and I mean, something that just seems so utterly designed for a HBO miniseries, Netflix miniseries, an incredible 2-hour movie even could be done with this. I cannot recommend this more highly if you just like depressing literature. It is truly fantastic. It's, elevated among the, Stephen King. He's great for horror fans and stuff. Not, well, I don't know. I'm not trying to denigrate. I love him. But The Long Walk, very simply, another reality future, near future scenario, very bleak. This one, there is a competition that happens like every year. A bunch of teenagers get together for a competition sponsored by the military, called The Long Walk. And it is a very simple competition. You keep walking till you can no longer walk. And the one who walks to the very end, the one who is the last one walking, wins whatever they want. There are some twists. You have to maintain a very brisk 4-mile-an-hour pace during your walk. If you ever fall beneath it, you get a soccer system, couple of yellow cards, and ultimately, if you do it enough, you get ejected. But of course, ejection in The Long Walk is execution by the military, who is just following right along. So every single person, very Hunger Gamesy, you meet, it absolutely is going to die. Every single person that the protagonist befriends along the way is also a rival. It's an incredible draw. Check it out, Long Walk. I loathe to say anymore. And before it does inevitably become picked up by something and turn into something incredible, you get to be smug and say, well, I read the book first and it was better. And everybody loves those people. Okay, holy shit, guys. I am so sorry. I am really, really, really far behind on chat. I got lost in Richard Bachman first. And again, Richard Bachman was an experiment by Stephen King to see if he could be successful without being Stephen King. And the answer was yes. I've never seen what the actual comparison in sales figures were. I know he wasn't as successful, obviously, but he was a successful horror, thriller, suspense writer twice. And made another one in his son, Joe Hill. All right. Joshua, back to his recommendation for the Click from Select, says his dispensary was doing the good old let's expand our market share, spend some investor money, and sell those batteries for $1 purchase of a pod. Not that they cost that much more than that, but with all the packaging and distributing, they must cost something more than that. But, it's more important. It's the give the razor blade away, give the razor handle away for free, sell them blades kind of model. BVD says everything is well and they are done studying, doing some entrepreneurship right now. Ooh, what kind of business, what kind of dealing are you doing, BVD? Curious. Lori Elizabeth Wade says they are a first time. Welcome, Lori Elizabeth. Love first timers. 773 Kush says they got a Dynavape vape, and it is amazing. 773 Kush, it is, well, one, welcome, thanks for joining us, and two, we've got a lot of Dynavape fans here. I've never actually used one. Know a lot of people who love one. I know if I'm probably, if I get another weed, when I get another weed thing in the future, I'm probably going to go Gravity Bong, but the Dynavape gets mentioned so much, gets me reconsidering. Okay. Charlie, welcome back. Charlie says, they've been using the terp pen through their rig instead of a banger, and it keeps the, it keeps their banger or their terp pen perfectly aligned even after 40 dabs. Well, that's nice, man. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, mine gets a little jostled and gets a little tricky to clean, so maybe I have to look into that. Lori asks, back in the day, we had a little tablet called Tab T. It was a tablet of THC. We also had something called Thai Stick. Got any info on those? Well, I've never heard of Thai Stick. I definitely have done several different tablets, THC tablets, Lori. I've done ones that are like the good old Listerine strips that were so big 20 years ago. I've done pill versions. I've done actual like tabs, like almost like a chiclet type thing. But I'm not sure if you were looking for one in particular. Back in the 70s. And Charlie, providing the assist, thank you, Charlie, saying that they know about him, but they haven't seen him in anything other than documentaries. So it's been a while. I wasn't even aware of my of this history. Thank you. I'm gonna have to do some looking up. I have no idea. I had no idea that people were making THC tabs back in the 70s, to be honest. A lot of speculation on the 70s THC tabs. Again, totally novel to me. Never even heard of them. Lori Elizabeth Wade says they've never heard of mixing pot with tobacco. Charlie from Scotland says that they think it's a UK thing and they don't really understand it either. That is my understanding of it as well. They call it spliffs. It's like a very UK specific thing. And like they're the only country that really insists on blending the two. Of course, though, you know, blunts are in some ways mixing the two because the wrappers are tobacco. And I think, you know, there was in the past where you could get less weed, maybe you mix the two together to sort of extend your weed stash a little bit. But I've known people who love spliffs too, though. Like that is actually the only way they'll do weed is if it is rolled up with a bunch of tobacco, like 50-50. They do not like doing, they don't like smoking cigarettes and they don't like doing weed in as products on their own. But when they do, but this person I know who, you know, they get high probably 2 or 3 times a week, only spliffs. I find it curious, but people, you know, like what they like. Efren, welcome, Efren. I hope I'm getting that name correct. Says, a reminder, do not be stinky with your thumbs up. Well, thank you. I'm not sure what being stinky is. Maybe stingy, but I prefer stinky. I'm so glad everybody's so accepting and helping Lori with this information that I was totally ignorant to. What a cool group of people we got here, man. Um, Efren says very loudly, stay high, positive, and I smoke a Cartridges Super Herb, Melted Diamonds, Joker's Candy. Are those all, is that all the strain name? Or are some of those the brand name of the cartridge? Melted Diamonds, Joker's Candy. That is, what are you trying to convey with that? Uh, wow. Um, melted diamonds, Joker's candy. It's kind of got a nice rhythm to it when you say it. Melted diamonds, Joker's candy. It doesn't have the last one. You can do so many things to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let's get that iambic pentameter. There's a great website that has things to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, did he? Let me see if I can't find that. That'd be a fun distraction. I need to make another bag. Oh, there's a whole Wikipedia, by the way, guys, to, I think, things you can sing to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles intro. Yes. How cool is this, by the way? And how totally irrelevant to anything. If you need to waste some time, go look up phrases that you can sing to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme song. Charlie with the hard Dynabate recommendation. Also recommending you get the FMJ attachment for $10 with it. Sounds pretty good. And thanks for the information there, Charlie. I know people always appreciate it when people give honest opinions of their weed tech in comments. It's expensive, it's fiddly, and there can always be more and better opinions out there. So thank you for sharing. Let's see. OJ Simp, welcome back. OJ Simp says, hey, Wheats, you keep popping up in my feed, so I'm going to throw you a sub. Well, that's so kind of you, OJ. Thanks for being cool enough to answer my dumb question about cutting your ponytail last time. OJ, not a dumb question. I genuinely loved the question. I mean, what a fun opportunity to rant and get in some fun philosophical comments. And here's the thing, OJ, I'm finished a bag. I'm gonna go do a dab. And I need a new question. But unfortunately, this dab right now, OJ Simp, is gonna have to be for all of our people in chat who weren't here before. So our Lori's, our Charlie's, I think, well, maybe we already got Lori. Dead Rose, welcome. Good to see you, man. We're going to do a dab for you, and a dab for OJ, and a dab for Tom. Welcome, Tom. Good to see you. Original point, OJ. You come up with another real head scratcher, not head scratcher, fun quandary of a question like that. And man, you got a bag coming to you. Another. This stuff here has Jealousy Cross Banana Cream. Video games taught me that the X should no longer be read X, but should be read cross. But I'm ambivalent in willing to hear arguments that we should stick with X, but video games go with the term cross often. So here goes some jealousy cross banana cream. Alrighty. Well, cheers, Charlie. I didn't know we were dabbing together. Are you dabbing on that Dynavik? And that dab is actually pretty tasty. Nice. Lori asks, I need a nice high, but I've got bad lungs. Any suggestions? Edibles, for sure. Or, I mean, I think I would put all of these things under the umbrella of edibles, but tincture, capsules, there are a myriad of ways in which you can now get THC into your body that don't involve your lungs. My favorite are actually the edible types, whether they be a baked confectionery good or a disgusting sublingual tincture. I find them to be both just a easier way to get high. I also, worried about my lungs to some degree. Not that vaping or smoking weed is that bad. Not that there's no risk, obviously. But yeah. I would give, if you have a way to find them around you, Lori, give them a shot. Start small, very small. But I hope you have some success. Hitman! Lori asks, what kind of edibles are best? Depends on you, depends on your tolerance, depends on what you're looking for, too. I would say, you could probably start with a sublingual tincture of 2 or 3 milligrams and see how that does for you. And it comes on faster being under your tongue too. That is one of the disadvantages with edibles, is there is a much delayed onset, especially in comparison to any combustion method, inhalation method, anything using your lungs, like substantially so. But sublingual, under the tongue, tincture goes on. Many people say like 15 minutes. I don't ever find it to be that quick, but usually some very noticeable things after about 30. But I hope others have some recommendations too. Hitman Radio 30 says, have you ever gotten so high on an edible you thought you were dead or gonna die? I seem to obsess over with health issues when I get high, and I need to train myself to get out of that headspace when high. Hitman Radio, I appreciate the question. Thank you so much. No, I have not. I thankfully, weed does not give me paranoia. I mean, maybe the first 2 or 3 times I smoked ever, I had that vague hint in the back of my, vague worry, anxiety in the back of my mind, like, oh man, what if the cops smell this? This is back when I lived in East Tennessee. But it was never articulated, and it was pretty buried as a, like, I wasn't actually, it was just a thought buried deep. But that was forever and ever ago, and that was just as a example. But thankfully, I am very fortunate that weed gives me no paranoia. However, Hitman, I'm curious to know if you get paranoid when you're doing only when you're doing edibles, or does it happen when you smoke as well? Some people I know cannot do edibles at all for some reason. I've known several people who they can smoke as much weed as they want, and it doesn't seem to have the effect of giving them that dread or paranoia. However, if they do any amount of edibles, I mean, it doesn't matter how small, they will very quickly have their brand of anxiety or paranoia. I keep calling it paranoia, but I think paranoia or anxiety is probably a better description. And yeah, there's so it might be with you, Hitman, that it's just that edibles affect you differently, and that they may unfortunately always give you paranoia. Of course, you can always try going lower and lower doses to see if there is a balance. But nobody wants to. It's a shitty feeling or shitty thing to experiment with, because I know people who do experience a lot of paranoia on weed. It really does suck for them. I hate seeing it. I mean, it's just a really unfortunate thing, and it does happen to people. So if you really want to do edibles, I'd say, go as small dose as you can, where you have any kind of effect, and then if that doesn't make you paranoid, you can start to slowly titrate to the correct level. And last thing I will say is that there are, unfortunately, just people as well, Hitman Radio, and I don't think this is you. I think I got from your comment that maybe it did seem to be edible specifically. There are very many people that really weed is just a terrible experience for them, where they get instantly extremely paranoid or anxious, or even experiencing borderline psychosis. It's an unfortunate thing. I think a lot of people don't like to talk about because it sucks and it, makes weed look bad. But it does happen, and there are a substantial number of people, and I feel bad for those people. It just sucks that is all walled off for them, and I wonder if there'll ever be a good explanation as to why that is. Why there seems to be some segment of the population that has a averse reaction in that particular way to THC. Don't know. I appreciate the question, though, Hitman, and I hope I answered it to some degree. Let's go do ourselves another bag. Tom, following it up, or before I ever got there, so I was following him up, says, just don't overdo it with the edibles the first time. It will be a bad time. Yes, should never overdo it with the edibles. Well, I'm not your mother, but be careful. Know your limits. I'm on an edible right now, as you can tell. I don't know mine. But I'm optimistic, Hitman, that you'll find your spot, because I think it does exist for a lot of people. June, welcome June, says, hey man, I'm smoking on a dab pen, a battery named Gold Coast Clear. You should try them. I've actually tried Gold Coast Clear before, June. I'm not sure if I've ever reviewed them before, and I don't even remember what my opinion was, but I've definitely done them before. That was an unhelpful comment, but both the nature of weed and as many as these I've done by now, some of them blur together. But I appreciate the recommendation and suggestion, and again, welcome. Let's go get this bag going here for Hitman Radio, Tom, and June. And I do see some new friends here at the bottom. We're going to have to wait to address those comments in just a second because both a fan favorite and the OG of OGs in comments are all here. But first, let's go get this bag for all those people I just mentioned and forgot already. Not forgot personally, just forgot the list of the names. Welcome, Grovel. Good to see you, man. I will try to get a bag. No, after this, we're going to have a dab, follow-up dab. That's going to be for Grovel and Dr. SJ. And we haven't even had the opportunity to read Dr. SJ's comments yet. And I hope those are being saved for posterity, by the way. I guess I can always just go back to the live stream replays. And I just need, somebody should just collect them all. And we should have a history of them. It would tell a really great, weird, disturbing story if attempted to understand as a chronological narrative. But one might try. I'm so excited to see what we've got here. All right, this is our third bag, fourth bag, something like that. Thank you, everybody. It looks like so many people giving Hitman some excellent advice, saying what I attempted to say more succinctly and more accurately. So I appreciate that. Thank you, BVD, and everybody for helping Hitman there. All right, so Dr. SJ, Dr. Smegma Jones, welcome, man. So good to see you. Says, sorry we're late. They're late here with the pack. I think I read that a little wrong. Let me go back. Reread. Sorry we're late. Here with the pack. Unfortunately, MJ had a rough morning and woke up covered in diarrhea. Poor baby she was sleeping so peacefully. Lesson learned. That Taco Bell ran straight through me. See, oh my God. Okay, Dr. SJ, boom, home run, grand slam, knocked it out of the park. That's how you tell a joke. That's how you structure a joke. The ending was so unexpected, such a beautifully, wonderfully struck, like, I am not blowing smoke up your ass. I think that's an excellent story, joke, in the sense that I thought I had figured out what the joke punchline was going to be, and then had the rug pulled out from underneath me. It's great. It's so I'm not kidding. It's just so great. Love it, love it, love it. Really just a classic punchline. And the thing is, Dr. SJ, I was getting ready, and I feel so bad now, I was getting ready to criticize for a moment. I was going to say, oh, come on, Dr. SJ, like, because you gave me such high expectations and such great, joy each time. While who doesn't love a good Taco Bell diarrhea joke? It's always there. It's a perennial favorite. It's going to be a favorite of everybody's until the ground beef there goes moldy, which means never. But I didn't think it was up to your usual standards. A good old fashioned, my dog ate Taco Bell and got diarrhea. Like, love it, great, always funny, but not a Dr. SJ level. But then at the last second, boom, rug pulled out from beneath me. The dog is covered in diarrhea, not because the dog ate Taco Bell, but because Dr. SJ ate the Taco Bell and shat all over his dog. There's nothing worse than somebody who explains the joke, but when one is as textbook as that, and which I also assume is not a joke, but true to Dr. SJ's life and his 3 wonderful pups. It just makes it all the better. Welcome. And Grovel, thanks for hanging out with us again, Grovel. Hope you've been doing well, my man. Make sure we'll get that next dab in there. Sorry for the rant. Or the, not rant, I just, again, somebody who Dr. SJ, little, ray of sunshine every day. Hitman says, Bill Maher was talking about eating a high-dose 5,000 milligram brownie and thinking he was dead. Bill Maher, 5,000 milligram. That is a unbelievable sum of THC, especially to get inside of a brownie. Like, they're like physical limits. It's not like you can just keep. It's hard to imagine a brownie that is not comically large that would have 5,000 milligrams of weed, and also 5,000 milligrams of THC. Like, let's say Bill Maher does as much weed as I do. I don't know what. I mean, you can go way back in the archives, guys, like year 2017, and watch me attempt to do 1,000 milligrams on live streams and not succeed because I get so high and so tired at some point. I'm like, all right, man, I'm just gonna go. I gotta go lie down, and I can't keep up with chat anymore. I failed my experiment. 5,000 milligrams, holy shit. Hitman Radio, I hope you're not doing any edibles, even 2 orders of magnitude less than that, to be honest. Because really, you might even be able to go down 3 if and see how that does for you. Wow, 5,000 milligrams. Bill Maher. What an interesting character. What an interesting cat, Mr. Maher. Lori, I just now saw, does not live in a lawful state. I'm sorry to hear that. Man, I find it truly befuddling, and it doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not coming from my, my activist stoner side, but just my raw numbers, political, the goodwill it would generate, the overwhelming popularity among, the population as a whole, and then especially both bases, the why we have not had a push for federal legalization right now, just why? What could the possible reason be? And maybe, I don't know. Too high to talk cogently about the strange politics of it all, but it's just such an polls are different, but let's say 65% of Americans now think that weed should be, I think, though it is parsed as at least medically available, not recreational, but I think it might be over 50% still that's over recreational. Again, the polls are very different because polling is a shit science. yeah, it's just it's crazy. It's crazy making. And again, not even as like a stoner legalize it, man, but like as a again as a matter of political expediency and common sense. It just don't get it. Uh, Tom A says that they once did 1,000 milligrams and they were high for 2 to 3 days. No joke. Ooh, Tom, was that a pleasant 2 or 3 days? I'm curious. Did you? I know some others who have been high for more than 24 hours. I think even 48. Yes, I do know. I can think of a time where somebody ate an edible and was high for more than 48 hours, for sure. And they hated it, every second of it. But I'm curious if yours went better. I have never been high for anywhere near that long. Usually, I've never. Well, okay, I take it back. The one example I've mentioned many times, the closest I've ever come to doing anything like greening out. First time I ever did firecrackers, falling asleep on the couch. The only time I really ever remember like going to sleep and or going to bed, like sleeping a big chunk of time and waking up and still feeling somewhat high. But mostly it's usually out and done with me in 4 hours or so. Edibles, of course, and anything combustible or inhalant would be way less. Tom A, of course, bringing up the and Lori, everybody, of course, making the perfect, wonderful. I don't need to harp on it again, but maybe just got to do it real quick. Rant that yes, weed should be federally legal, and that of course alcohol is 100 times worse. I get very heated on this very topic, Tom, and you put it so succinct and perfect, and there's no reason to go back over it, but very quickly, it's one of our many hobby horses here. I am totally okay with anybody who wants to make weed illegal, ban it as a society. Anybody wants to make that argument. I disagree with it. I think it's dumb. I think it's foolhardy. Obviously, I disagree with it completely. I think it's irrational and stupid. But I can respect it like as a consistent thing. Like if you if your philosophy is you want to make weed illegal, I will have no qualms with you as long as you are for the prohibition of alcohol. And I'm serious. Like I would have no beef with any human being that has both of those views. You cannot, in good faith, have the opposite view. You just cannot. It is a bad faith argument that should be, and it sucks. I make this point all the time because it's like the first argument everybody learns about why weed should be legal is that, oh, well, alcohol is worse. And also it's kind of a, somebody might impugn it as an argument as it's kind of like a whataboutism. It's like, well, what about alcohol? But that's not true. It's not a whataboutism argument. It's not at all. It is a very pertinent part of this discussion. It is, here is a substance that is, okay, I rant over, but last point. Totally, you are dumb and wrong if you hold the opinion that weed should be banned and nobody should have it as a substance, should be illegal, as long as you also believe that about alcohol. You cannot believe both. You cannot believe that only alcohol should be legal of the two substances. You are a dumb, like a truly, you're showing your whole ass to everybody. You don't have a leg to stand on. Oh boy, I'm okay. Done with that. Sorry. Very high. And there I didn't even really get into like the full impassioned rant. I just took vague swipes at people for holding having some cognitive dissonance, which that's just being human. Okay. I have to do this dab that I promised for Grovel and of course Dr. SJ and his shit-covered poodle dog. I can't remember which dog it was, MJ. Let's go get this final dab going here. And guys, I do have to wrap up pretty soon. Blinkers. Blaring. Dr. SJ, Grovel, thanks for joining us. Nice. Tom. Tom makes the comment that anyone who thinks weed should be illegal, we can't help you. Mostly agreed. God, I promised I would stop talking about this. I totally respect your opinion if you want weed to be illegal, as long as you are also for the prohibition of alcohol. That is at least intellectually consistent and not a person who is just parroting. I mean, they're not even parroting garbage. If you come at somebody who actually has the opinion that okay, I said I would stop. I'm done. I'm so sorry. I've got to abort. Abort the topic. Carpe, it is true, I am fried. I'm in the middle of a review, which I have to do the wrap up on in just a bit. So I have to also stop doing this. Pasta Bleach, welcome. So glad to see you. Boy, am I high. Let's do this. Let's talk about next week. I did just get everything scheduled for next week. There will be stuff out for at least 2 more weeks. I've got 4 more reviews scheduled. So I hope you guys will be there same times as always, which has been Mondays and Thursdays, 1:15 p.m. PST. And we'll do some live streams after. And hopefully I won't be as high starting off. However, guys, I can speed around one last bag. Because I have the 7 here anyways. And lightning round. Let's just do this last bag. And I finished The Bear last night. I don't know if any of you guys are watching The Bear on Hulu. You should. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us, being here on this live stream. my apologies again for being very high. I think this product's going to get a pretty good review from us. I think. And again, I don't think I'll be back tomorrow. I should be back. I will definitely be back on Monday with our next review. And of course, I will be back 1 week from today with our other. And hopefully some in the middle there as well. Tom, I'm glad you like the speed round. Oh, Grovel, excellent question. Grovel asked if I've seen She-Hulk yet. I have not, but I do want to watch it soon. I love Hulk. Love Hulk, as you can tell. I feel bad about how much I love Hulk. Loved Hulk since I was a young man and a wee lad. Big Bruce Banner boy, and love She-Hulk. It's been such a great time to be a Hulk fan recently. Both in comics, like it's the only comic I've ever kept up on mildly. The whole anyways. I've heard good things about the Disney Plus show. I find all of the Marvel Disney stuff to be very like perfectly flat, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's all like consumable. Is the best way I don't know how to describe it. It's all pretty good. Easy to watch. I don't think I've ever been. Well, there have been some good moments in some of them, but more Hulk is always good. More She-Hulk is always great. So I probably watch it this week. I know it just came out. It'll be the rare show I'm contemporary on. I have not seen maybe the last 2 Marvel shows before it. Maybe. No, I saw the Moon Knight. We all watch too much TV. Sorry to make that judgment. I know I do. CKW, welcome. Grovel gives me the great news that Hulk, good old Marky Ruff, is in the movie, or is in the first episode a lot. That's awesome to hear. And you should all read about the Hulk going to hell and being a horror comic. It's cool. The Hulk's always been awesome, but now he's in hell, or he was. I think he's out now. He gets killed in even more grisly ways than ever before. And he's in hell. And he's the Hulk. It's great. I don't remember the name of the series. It has a cool one. Anyways, guys. Grovel, like you, gotta run myself. CKW. So unfortunate. I have to say hello and goodbye. It's been wonderful lightning round with everybody.